Hey, this is Mark Anthony with Roll Gone Cold, and you're listening to Opposites Attract.
Beautiful, Mark. Thanks for joining us today, brother.
Thanks for having me, Kris.
My pleasure. So, Well Gone Cold are preparing to release your debut single, Opposites Attract, this Friday, February the 3rd. So, firstly, what can you tell us about the song?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the first song off our debut EP here, and it's kind of a nice mixture of like heavy slash a little bit of electronic to it, a little bit of ode to some of the stuff that I grew up listening to, and then also just the singer is really good at just writing these big giant choruses and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a lot of fun to kind of see how people react to the message in the song and everything else. So
What is the message in the song, bro?
to be honest with you, I think everybody's gonna have a different opinion on what it is. And I think when Rylan, that's the singer, when he wrote it, it was mainly like an inner struggle of back and forth of like one side is telling you to do something, the other side's telling you to do something else, and it's kind of pulling you apart in two different areas of your life. So it's kind of what that's how I take it. I mean, once again, I'm not the lyricist, but when I listen to it and when we were writing it, that's kind of what I got from it, was just that kind of inner struggle.
Yeah. But musically, as you sort of mentioned, man, like it's a great cross between rock and metal with some catchy as fuck hooks that are going with it. So are you sort of,
Yeah.
in a way, I suppose, are you hoping to take metal to a more commercial market by sort of making music like this?
It's a great question. I've always been a metal guy. So when I grew up, like the big four were kind of my go-tos. Especially Megadeth and Metallica. They're probably the biggest influences on me as a guitar player. Just growing up in the '80s, right? Like that was kind of like the pinnacle for me of heavy metal. And I always, when someone asks me what our genre is, it's really hard for me to kind of say what it is, but I call it heavy pop, and it's just because I write heavy music, and Rylan, the singer, just writes these kind of. I mean, he screams too, so it's not like he does do anything insane, but he writes these really big, catchy, kind of pop melodies. I guess that's what you call it. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't call it. I don't know. It's hard to say it because, like, I think Steven Tyler's pretty badass, and I don't think Steven Tyler writes, pop melodies, but they're catchy, right? Like it's just something that you like. Because I feel like sometimes when I say pop, I think of like Justin Bieber or something. That's not what this is.
I hope not.
But no. But I think it's just that thing of like, I think the biggest thing with this whole thing that we're doing here with this band was we just wanted to write heavy music that's good and that it's relatable, and if it's catchy, cool. If not, none of us really give a shit. Like we just wanted to write good music. Like that's all there was to it. So
Yeah. Opposites Attract is the first song released by World Gone Cold, mate. So why choose that particular track to introduce the world to the band and your music?
Well, there was a lot of debate on what song to release. I'll tell you that. So to be honest with you, everybody in the band, all five guys, I told them all pick a song, and the number one song from all five was this, right? So, and then we kind of gave it to some other people, like people in our inner circles, like managers, wives, best friends, whatever it is, right? Listen to the songs. Which one do you think? And I think out of almost 50 people, I think 48 or so, 46 was this track. So that's when it was kind of apparent to say this is probably, to us, it just made sense. This was the first one. I think it has the best story. I think to me, I think it has the best story. I'm very, I don't know, drawn to this song. I don't know why, but there's just something when I wrote this song musically, I just felt it. Like it was just, to me, it was the song. So.
You plan to follow that up with Apology on February the 17th, which to me, it's a bit heavier, again, that song. But like, yeah. Especially as a new band, man, like how, you just sort of mentioned the process you go through, but how much actual thought goes into putting out the right songs in the right order to introduce a band? Like it's sort of, you've got to grab people in as well, but you also want to show your true nature.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know if there's any right way to do it, right? Like there's no right formula, there's no correct way to do it. I think you just got to go with your gut most of the time and what you think is right. And honestly, I think and you said it, like Apology is definitely heavier, right? And it's not. It's funny because it's kind of like a groove metal kind of song. Like it kind of almost has like that trivium kind of groove to it, which they do a lot of. But then it also kind of has aspects of like Seven Dust, and then it pulls in a little bit of like Falling in Reverse. So it's kind of jacked up, like the whole song. Like I think that's what this whole band is there's no real like, it's hard because there's no real genre with the band. I feel like we hit a lot of platforms of a lot of things. Like you'll hear like with Opposites Attract, I feel like you're going to even hear like a little Linkin Park, right? Which is weird to me, right? Like you might hear a little bit of that in it, but then it goes and it's totally different. And you might hear a little bit of like Under Oath or Kill Switch Engage or whatever it is. Like it's a little, you just hear the influences a little bit everywhere.
Yeah. So your debut self-titled EP is coming out on March the 17th. I had to listen to that whole thing before doing this interview, mate, and I can see, I guess I can see how hard it'd be from your point of view, because when you listen to that whole EP, it gives a massive picture of your body of work, and it's got different sort of elements and layers to it, I guess. And overall, when you listen to it, it stands out big time. So choosing songs to represent that and making people want to listen to the whole thing must be pretty fucking difficult.
Well, you said it, and I feel like it is because I don't know. I feel like, there's a lot of bands, and I'm not going to name anybody because I love these bands too, but there's a lot of bands that they put out a record and every song sounds the same and every record sounds the same. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like that's their lane. That's what they do. But I like the bands that push the envelope every time. And it's just, like you get a little flavor or something different, even though they still come back to their core. But like you just get a little something different. So it's not always the same. So, yeah.
Yeah. So overall, like I know you said it's pretty hard for you to sort of categorize the music, but there's people out there that are going to be listening to this and have never heard of the band before. So we want them to listen. Like, what are we going to say to make them pick up this EP and go, I'm having to listen to that? Because it is a fucking good EP.
Well, thank you. I feel like it just matters what you're in the mood for. But if you're in the mood to just get ramped up and get kicked in the teeth and just really, I don't know, just aggressive, like this is it. This is your thing, right? Like if you're a fan of anything that's whatever, if you want to say Spotify, like kick-ass metal or whatever that is, all those playlists, like this is right up your alley. Honestly, the best thing to do is just put on the first track. It's called Left to Save, and if that doesn't grab you, then you probably aren't going to be grabbed by the band because that's a punch right in the mouth. So.
Cool. Collectively, Word Called Cold features members of P.O.D, Demon Hunter, Disciple, The Letter Black, and Attack Attack. So when like we'll get onto this later on because it started as a solo project, but when the members came to the band, like were they encouraged to bring elements of each respective band to Word Gone Cold, or did you want to sort of create something completely fresh?
Man, that's a great question. So really, I think each person kind of brings their own little element, right, of who they are and what they do. But I also feel like a lot of times you get pigeonholed in things that you do. You know what I mean? Like, take me because I'm in Letter Black, and it's my wife's the lead singer. So the first thing people are like, oh, it's female fronted rock, right? And then you kind of get pigeonholed in this like genre of, well, that's all it is, right? And it's like, well, you don't know what else I do, right? Or what else I play. And same thing with Demon Hunter. Like when you think of Yogi, the drummer for Demon Hunter, you just think of speed metal, like that's all he does is speed metal. And it's like, man, he grooves. Like you just don't think of that. So I think that's what's cool about it, because this kind of really grabs the best of everybody and lets really everybody showcase what's the best of them. And honestly, at the end of the day, all of us, number one, what brought this all together was friendship. And number two is, we just all like to play music. So it was fun because for me, when I started this, to go off of what you were saying, I wanted to start a really heavy metal band. Like that's what I wanted to do. And I was doing it by myself, and it just isn't fun doing a band by yourself, even though it was in COVID, I was just doing it by myself. But, once you start bringing everybody else in and they bring their different flavors, like, oh man, I would never have thought to do that on the bass or with the vocals or whatever it is. So to me, I always say the best idea in the room wins. I don't care whose it is, but I just want the best, whatever that is. And I want it raunchy and raw with a little bit of spit, piss, and urine on it. And then we got a rock song. So
That's fantastic. So when you think about all those bands members come together, mate, like it's a lot of different musical sounds and influences to throw together. So how did you find the balance, I guess, when writing songs? Like how much is too much of one thing? And
yeah, well, I think what we did is we threw a lot of mud on the wall and kind of figured out what we liked. Because to be honest with you, when it first started, it was super heavy. Like it was straight up metal. Like that's just what it was. And that's because that's what I was going for. So it had like a very Trivium, Five Finger, Kill Switch, very Pantera style, right? It was just, it had some Southern aspects to it. And then it had just a really lot of speed, chugging and stuff. And me and the singer were the first two who got together, right? It was me and him. And we did the first couple of songs, and then it just kind of marinated over time into the sound that it is now. And a lot of that is just me and him. Like, you know, I usually write the music, he writes the words and lyrics. And then, you know, lately now, you know, since of course COVID is kind of non-existent, we've been able to get together and actually write together. But typically it was just me writing music, sending it to him writing words and lyrics and sending it back to me. And that's how we did it for a while. And then once we got everybody else into it, and everybody kind of put their own little flavor on the songs. So it was pretty cool how it all worked out.
Yeah, cool. So we did mention before that you started this as a bit of a solo project, mate, and then it grew from there. But did you have, like, when choosing the members, did you have a selection process or a criteria of sorts?
So we did. So so me and the singer, we go way back. Me and Rylan, I mean, 18 years, 15 years, somewhere like that. And what happened was I have a producer friend that I've been friends with for years. He's done 10 years, all kinds of crazy stuff. Dolly Parton, Charlie Daniels Band, all kinds of crazy bands. But we've been friends for almost 20, and we talk usually about twice a month. And I sent him some music, and I said, hey, I'm doing this solo project. What do you think? And he's like, oh, man, it's cool as hell. You're going to do it all by yourself. I said, well, you know, that's not real fun doing it all by myself, but that's the plan, right? Like, he's like, why don't you call Rylan? And at the time, Rylan came from a band called Inhale Exhale, and he wasn't in Attack yet. And this was like I shouldn't say early, late 2020, like October, November, maybe before that, maybe September, October 2020. So I gave him a call, and he was like, yeah, man, send me some music. I'll see if I like it. And I sent him the first track, which isn't even on this record, but it's going to come out on the full length record. We kept it for that. And I sent it to him, and he was like, hell yeah, let's do it. I'm down. I like this music. Let's do it. And he sent it to me, and me and my wife got it back, and we were like, Rylan's the guy. He should be the singer. And there was no one else, literally nobody else. So after we did that, we started writing some more songs. I said, hey, bud, we need to make this a band so that it's not just this weird project of me and you. And that's it. And he's like, well, who do you want for a drummer? And he starts naming drummers. He's naming off all these guys he knows. So like August Burns Red, Rise Against, all these guys he's friends with. And I was like, man, I want Yogi from Demon Hunter. And he's like, do you know Yogi? I was like, nope, I don't know. But I'm going to get him on Instagram, and I'm going to shoot him a message. We'll see what he says. So I shoot him this rogue message, and he's probably thinking like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Like, you know, just shoot me a rogue message. But I did, and he hit me back, and he was like, yeah, I might be interested. I sent him the track, and then he was like, okay, man, I'm in. Send me more music. So then that started. And then and then as we were talking about drummers before I reached out to Yogi, you know, Rylan's like, so who should we get to play bass? And I said, oh, there's only one person. It's only one. And it's Trey Daniels. And he said, Trey's never going to do it. I said, yes, he is. Yeah, he is. I said, me and Trey are bros. I said, we've played together multiple times, and he's been dying to do a band together. And we haven't talked about it in probably like 8 years, like talked about it. But we used to talk about it all the time, doing a band together. And I was like, he's my guy. There's no one else. I'm going to text him right now. And Trey didn't even need to listen to music. He was like, I'm in. If you're doing it, I'm in. Let's do it. I don't even care who else is doing it. I'm in. And then Andrew, at the time, he actually wasn't in Disciple. He took a period off where he wasn't in any band. He was just doing his own solo thing. He was writing music for Sync and for I can't even remember what it's all called, but some kind of licensing stuff he was writing music for. And we were going back and forth on some lead guys, and there was a couple guys that we both really liked, but Andrew is just probably the nicest human being you'll ever meet. And if we're going to be together on the road, I want to be with people that I actually like too. Like, not just good musicians. I want to be with people that I actually enjoy being around. And he is just the sweetest person. And, you know, he's a freaking Slayer lead guitar player. I mean, he plays me under the water. He's so good. And he has like that Eddie Van Halen thing to him of he can just, I mean, he does. He just rips. He's so good. So anyway, it was kind of a no-brainer. And when we asked him, he was like so overwhelmed. I think he was just like, "Are you serious? Like, I'm going to be in a band with you guys?" Wow. I was like, "Yeah, you're better than probably all of us." So yeah, we want you in this band. So yeah.
Oh, cool. So as I said, man, like the EP, it's a great sounding EP, but given the collective strengths of all you guys in it, like how much more musical growth do you think there is in World Gone Cold moving forward?
A lot. Yeah. I'm ready to go. So we have about right now. So we the EP, oddly enough, you know, it's coming out now. It was done. I finished recording it because I produced it. I finished it last spring, and it was mixed in the summer. So it was done. And then me and Ryland never stopped writing. So we're at 29 songs now for the full length. So me and him just don't stop. Like, that's just our thing. Like, we got a cover song that we're doing that people are going to think we're batshit crazy, but I think it's going to be really cool. It's definitely all him, and I fought him the whole way on it because I told him it sucks. And I kept fighting him on it. You're not going to. I can't tell you what it is yet, but it's by a female artist, which is really funny. And well, it's because he sings so freaking high. Anyway,
talk to me again when that comes out, don't you? You're saving this, so I got to call you and talk.
That's right. I am saving it because it's going to be on the full length. I gotta save it.
No worries at all. All right, Michael, thanks very much for your time today, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Your first single, Opposites Attract, is out this Friday, February the 3rd. EP's out March 17th, and I'll be doing a review on it this week, which is an absolute fucking cracker, mate. Congratulations, and make sure you keep in touch.
Oh, thank you, Kris. I really appreciate your time, bud.
My pleasure, mate. We'll catch you when you come out to Australia one day, hopefully.
We'll definitely be there.
Beers will be had, my friend.
That's right.